Hello, I was waiting for you. I was actually training on this workpiece. This workpiece is a suspension bracket. It's quite complex. This is my 5th trial, but it's not actually the most efficient way to train nowadays, right, on real welding only. I am actually training also on a simulator, on the Seabery welding simulator. I'm going to show you now more about the augmented training methodology that we apply, because every time I train on this workpiece is costing us around 300 euros. As you can imagine, it's not the most efficient way to train, not the most sustainable either, and not the safest, because it's quite dangerous. But now I'm going to tell you more about this methodology, this technology. Come with me. Let me remove my jacket, and I'm going to show you everything about the augmented training methodology that we apply with the Seabery simulation technology. There we go. Come with me, please. Welcome to our Augmented Lab. The coupon I was showing you before, as I said, is a suspension bracket. It's on carbon steel, and it's quite particular. I need to weld different 4 or 5 welds here, welding joints, and doing that in real, as I said, is not the most efficient way. We actually have much more engaging, safest, green and efficient ways to do it, which is actually using the Seabery technology, by which we are able to customize welding training joints using augmented reality. What I have in my hands right now is the simulation coupon. It's the coupon that we use to parameterize exactly everything that I will be doing in the real workshop. The material, different joints, the WPS, everything, so that we can visualize and exercise all of that using this simulator. Today, we're going to be talking about the technology. We're going to be explaining you what this is about. And the most important thing, we are going to be actually showing you how it works for real, right? So we're going to be testing the technology in front of you. My name is Antonio Fernandez. I welcome you all. Thank you very much for your valuable time. And now we're going to go to the presentation that we have prepared for you. Let me explain you who is Seabery. Seabery is the company leading the development of skills training solutions by more than 12 years now. We use augmented and virtual simulation technologies. We have deployed this technology, in fact, in more than 80 countries nowadays, and we have more than 150 employees fully dedicated to this purpose of closing the skills gap globally, with a very, very strong focus on innovation and development. You may know for sure that there is a tremendous shortage of welders in the industry, in the global industry. No matter if you look at America, at Europe, at Africa, at Asia, this is actually a common problem. It's a problem of the world. And this problem cannot be sorted out by using the traditional methodologies to train welders, because this is very inefficient, and it's proven that it's not working. Also, when you look at engaging new generations into the welding trade, it is fully demonstrated also that you cannot do that with the traditional methodologies. But we have a solution for it. This solution is what I was telling you about earlier in the workshop. It's called augmented training. The augmented training is a methodology. It's a methodology that combines the real workshop together with the simulation space. In fact, this is very, very important to understand. This methodology does not eliminate the real workshop. Totally the opposite. This methodology is going to enhance the real workshop by preparing the welder in the simulation space. The simulation space is what you have on the left of that augmented lab. It's a space that works on simulation, which means that we don't use real materials, we don't have real consumables, and therefore, as you can imagine, it's going to be very efficient in cost and in time. Also, it's going to be fully green. Every time we weld here, it's going to be with no CO2 and with very, very little electrical consumption, which is going to be very, very beneficial for our environment. Once the welder has trained the muscle memory, then it will go to the real workshop, where we are going to be mastering the skills. We still need to go to the real workshop, but we're going to do it in a very efficient way, so that when I go, I will know what I'm doing. And all of that is going to be tracked and coordinated through an e-learning platform, because this technology allows to do that, allows to send and to retrieve information from a centralized database that is going to be fully controlled and managed by the welding instructor or the welding supervisor, which is very, very powerful and interesting. We'll show you more about that too. This video resembles very well the realism that we are able to achieve with this technology, because this is the key. The key is to be able to replicate in a very realistic way that real environment in augmented reality. What you have on the left is the simulation space. You have the welder welding the gloves, welding the helmet, and welding in the same position as in the real workshop, which is on the right. All of that is happening on the simulation space, as I said, is going to be centralized with information through an e-learning platform that is going to provide us with insights, with reports. It's going to allow us also to personalize the training path for every welder, etc., etc. We're going to see also more about that. This is a very powerful tool that cannot be replicated in real welding. So this methodology is actually proven. As I said, we have deployed this technology in more than 80 countries for more than 12 years. And with all this history and by testing it with different institutions, different companies, academics, industrials, etc., we have been able to conclude that definitely this technology is, first of all, more engaging, as you can imagine. Secondly, it's going to be also very, very efficient. As I said, different numbers apply, but you can count on more than 60% savings on applying this technology, the combination of augmented reality with real training, as I said, but also the reduction on time. Reduction on time, especially because when we are welding on simulation, we're going to be focusing on the most important part, which is the arc time. Arc time means the time that I'm training my muscle memory, which is what I really care about. As a conclusion, we're going to have, as a result, we're going to have better welders, more certified welders, more quality on the welders, right? Because these welders are going to be able to train in the same amount of time, more attempts, more trials, and then we're going to be able to have better welders. That will reflect at the certification point. We will be able to prepare our welders better for certification. And all of this with a very green technology. As I said, imagine that 1 single hour of real welding in that workshop will be issuing around 6 kilograms of CO2. Here we are doing 0 kilograms of CO2. So you can imagine the great impact that we have into the environment. As I said, the most important point here is to be able to make sure that the technology is resembling the real workshop. It needs to be very realistic, hyper-realistic, okay? Not only on the real elements, as you can see here, we are using real torches, for instance. This is very important because we're going to be training the muscle memory, so it needs to really feel the weight and the shape. We are going to be using real gloves. We're going to be using real helmet. We need to make sure that this is as close as possible to the real scenario that we're going to be living later in the real workshop. And also what we see and what we hear, okay? When we look at this technology, this cannot be thought as a video game. Everything that happens in the welding scene, in the welding beat, all of that needs to resemble the real welding in the same way. So that's what we call parametrization. We have parameterized the technology in such a way that what you see, what you hear, is going to be very, very, very near to what you will see and hear also in the real welding, which is key for a good welder. And not only that, we go beyond reality. Beyond reality, not because we're going to make anything new or anything imaginary, but because we are able to use technology to analyze the quality of the welds and to understand in a very objective and pragmatic way the skills, technique of the welder. We are going to be able to track mechanical resistance, cross-section analysis, as you can see here on the left of the screen. Imagine doing that in the real welding workshop only. It will be impossible. It will be very costly, very, very costly. And not only that, we will be able to have data, real data. In the real welding, it's very difficult to have data, right? This technology is employed in different industries, whether it is for training providers or whether it is for actual companies that are training new welders or upskilling actual welders, professional welders, right? And actually, the technology is fully prepared to answer not only the standard certification coupons, right? Coupons that everyone knows, like for instance, this butt joint right here, but also to answer the demands of specific sectors, like for instance, what I have in my hand. This is what we call an advanced welding multi-joint. That resembles, in this case, the best practices in the railway sector. In the screen, you will find different applications for different industries, like automotive, piping, and all of that. Okay, so we have multiple industries, and we are able to, most importantly, even customize further, right? So whether you are training on manual welding or also robotic welding, I'm going to show you now in a second, this technology will help you to train better welders, right? This can be applied by the training sector, as I said, or also the industry sector with Seabery Welding Pro, which is also what I showed you before here. This is actually Seabery Welding Pro. It's taking the technology up to the highest level so that we can resemble as realistic as possible the real workshop. Welding Pro is a service, it's a technology that is provided to industrial companies to make sure that their actual welders, professional welders, are able to upskill according to the demands of the production department, so that we are able to increase their performance and therefore have better results in the production line and lower quality issues and become much more efficient. Here on the screen, you can see multiple applications of customized coupons. This sort of customized coupons we can apply to any sector, whether it is, for instance, construction, heavy fabrication, shipbuilding, or railway. These are some examples only, even nuclear sector. And today you're going to understand fully if this can be helping you in your actual problems, right? Let's get inside a little bit more on the technology and how the technology is going to resemble those coupons in Welding Pro. This coupon is a butt joint. It's a butt joint, but with a backing. So a specific backing of 25 millimeters. We have a root of 6 millimeters, it's carbon steel, and the thickness of the plate is 9.5 millimeters, right? We're going to have a full WPS, parametricized in the system. This WPS is going to give us the backing details, going to give us a number of passes, in this case, seven passes. Every single pass is going to have a waving of zigzag, okay? We're going to have a pattern of zigzag with different width, amplitude, and dwell. So we can get even to that point. We can get to this very single detail of the WPS with a very specific travel speed. In this picture, we can see how the welder is going to be training on the simulation space on the right, and how it's going to be training also on the real space. So you can see the positioning of the welder is very important. Look at the arm. He is actually bending over on the work stand, which is very important for the welder to be stable, right? Here you're going to see also a little video of the simulation, so you can see how the welding paddle is merging. You can see how realistic it is. Well, you're going to see that in a second in real, anyway, because we're going to be welding today. But I want you to already have a feeling, right, of what the simulation looks like. And not only the simulation, but the result. The final result in this particular coupon, you will see the one that was welded on the reel, on the top, and then at the bottom, the simulated one. You will be able even to differentiate every single pass. As we said, we have welded 7 passes, right? So you can see differentiated clearly every single pass via visual inspection. But not only that, we can get inside. We can do a cross-section analysis. The one that was done above was done, of course, in the real coupon, as you can see, but the one was automatically given in the technology, in the simulation technology, without any cost. Imagine how powerful it is. We are able to see the cross-section, differentiate every single pass, and have a proper understanding on the mechanical resistance of that particular welding bit. Look at that. This chart is showing us in the very specific section of the weld, what is the mechanical resistance, what is the width, what is the throat. You can see even the legend of the colors over there. As you can imagine, green is the optimal color, and red will be too weak, blue will be too much, right? As we said before, this technology can be applied also to robotic welding. In the same way that we are going to be able to merge the real environment with simulation, we are going to be able to have a torch on a real coupon that is going to help us connect to the simulator just as it was a real power source. This is definitely also very powerful because it can connect to any robot in the market through different protocols, okay? We have a technology that is fully prepared to integrate with those robots so that we have, again, very, very realistic training. This technology is applied, as I said, by different sectors, whether it is in the industry, whether it is in the training sector, different names, okay, big names actually, like John Deere, Alstom, Volkswagen. I definitely encourage you to go to our different channels like YouTube. You're going to be able to find many, many cases like these ones that I'm showing you on the screen. And I'm pretty sure you're going to resemble yourself also in many of these. Not only industrial, as I said, but also training providers and even high, well-respected institutions that are in the market, like for instance, DVS or Well Australia, right? And now let's get to the most interesting part of the webinar, which is the real demonstration of the technology. Now we are going to show you, first of all, how this looks like with the real elements of the technology. Okay, I'm going to focus first on the hardware components. What you have in front of you is the actual simulator. It looks like a real power source on purpose. In fact, here in these buttons, you will be able to manage the different welding parameters like the voltage, the amperage, the wire free speed, even the gas. And we're going to have connected to the simulator this helmet, which is, as I said also before, is a real helmet. This real helmet has 2 cameras here, and we are going to be able to see through those cameras inside of the helmet. And we're going to be able to see the real world, not only the virtual world, but also the real world. That is augmented reality. Then we're going to have also real torches. Like for instance, this is the MICMAC torch, as you can see. Okay, so we can do a GMO and FCAL processes. This is a real torch, and we only change the tip of the torch, okay, so that we have a high definition camera inside for best tracking ever. We also have a torch for the electrode. Let me show you. There you go. In this torch, we have the electrode holder. We also have the stick, and that stick will be consumed as we weld, okay? It can be positioned in different angles so that we also resemble the different habits and situations of professional welders, right? And then also, we're going to be able to use TIG welding. The TIG welding torch is also here, as you can see. It's a real torch, as I said. We change the tip, and in this case, we have also the electrode feeder, which also has a very innovative system by which I am able to really resemble the feeding technique of the rod, which is very, very important, right? This is not just a dummy piece for the torch to accompany the weld. This is actually a piece that is going to allow you to resemble the feeding part, the feeding technique. Very, very important in TIG welding, right? And of course, a very, very important element, we need safety, right? So we are going to be welding with gloves. This is very, very important. The coupons that we can use are different. As I said before, we can use standard certification coupons, right? Like according to the ISO 9606, like for instance, this pipe to pipe. We can use this butt joint here. We can use a T-joint. We can use a lap joint, right? We have also incorporated magnet technology so that we can resemble the assembly of the coupons, okay? Which is going to be also very interesting, especially for, in this case, for beginner welders. And not only the certification, but as I said, different coupons that resemble different industry needs, as we saw before, right? This, for instance, is a coupon for the automotive sector in aluminum. And now we are going to weld on this suspension bracket. If I did this, I will be spending, as I said before, around 300 euros. But now I'm going to do it in augmented reality. So we will not have an extra cost. I can train as many times as I need. So let's see how it works. When we go inside of the simulator, what you will see is this interface. In this interface, I will be able to log in with my own credentials. So I'm already logged in. And I will be able to get inside courses, right? These courses can be for, not only for practices, for WPSs, can be also for theoretical contents. In fact, let me show you a very quick example. For instance, this is an introductory module, right, that my welding instructor has given me to learn more about filler materials, okay, what type of wires, electrodes, etc. I will be using in my training. This is also an evaluation quiz, so I can also not only learn about theory, I can also evaluate my welder's own knowledge, right? There you go. And all of this can be done in the simulator, but also in the computer, in the laptop, in the tablet of the welder, okay? So that they can consume all this information in a very accessible way, okay? And now, as you can see, these different lines are going to tell me different exercises that the instructor has designed for me, okay? I'm going to go to the very bottom one, which is actually the one that we have prepared for this webinar, for this suspension bracket. There you go, which is going to resemble this one, okay? The one that I was doing in the real workshop back there. This coupon is going to be having 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 weldments, okay? Every weldment, as you can see, with a very specific WBS on carbon steel. I will need to be welding according to a very specific voltage, travel speed, amperage, etc., etc. And we're going to see how the combination of all those parameters are going to play a role in the simulation, okay? Now next, you will see how the helmet is going to light up. And what you're going to see is actually what I see inside of the helmet, okay? So the first thing I will do is activate the augmented reality. Let me show you how we can see. I can see my hands. I can see my colleagues from marketing over here helping me with the webinar. And I can see the coupon. But this coupon right now is the same coupon that I see on the real world, right? What I will do now is augment the coupon. There we go. Now I can see my carbon steel suspension bracket, right? And I need to start welding over here. I can also see, if you look to the top, you can see also the parameters, indications, voltage, wire feed speed, gas, and all of that can be managed through, there you go, the machine, there you go. Okay? So let's have a look. I'm going to wear my gloves, as we said. Very, very, very important, please. Never weld without gloves. And I'm going to start over here in this specific weldment, okay? You can see the icons. The icons become red and green. As you can imagine, green is going to mean that I'm doing a good job, and red means I need to correct something, okay? We can measure different parameters, like for instance, this is the CTWD, the distance from the torch to the coupon. This is the different angles, right? And when I weld, I need to try to keep everything as green as possible, okay? So let's go for it. There you go. I hope you can hear the sound. There you go, the system is telling me to correct my angle a little bit. There you go, much better. Those arrows in green were telling me also to go at a certain speed, okay, because speed is quite important when welding. I'm going to be switching now to my left hand. I'm right-handed, so let's see how I can do this. This is a good way to practice. See, the system is telling me my angles need to be corrected. There you go. Okay, now I need to weld this side. Not bad, not looking bad. And we can remove also, lower the voltage, for instance, or increase it, all of that, okay, according to different transfer modes. For instance, if I did this, there you go. You can see now that I'm welding on spray. I'm welding on spray, transfer mode. The number of spatter is much lower, but I can see the welding bit is also wider. I can see the amount of wire that is actually in the welding bit is much higher. Let's continue with it. Now my WPS has resetted to the initial values, which are the correct one, by the way. I should not be doing this on spray. But let's see what happens if I do something actually silly, right? If I remove my gas. If I remove my gas, you can see that there is a 0 in red, so the system is definitely telling me I should not do this. But I'm going to do it anyway, just to test the technology. Well, there you go. Definitely this is not looking good. This is looking like a lot of porosity because there is no gas protecting my welding bit anymore. Like here. Here I had it, here I don't. So I should not do this. I should actually get my gas back. There you go. And continue welding. The realism of the welding pool is very, very high. If you are a welder, you know what I'm talking about because the sound, the way that the welding pool is melting, this is very important for you. You need to know what is going on in the weld. And here I have a little point that I need to weld as well. Let me do that. There you go. I cannot miss that. Right, and finally, it will be the last joint. Let me look. I'm going to try this well. Let's see how my skills are. There we go. Well, this one is looking much better, especially than this one, as you can imagine, right? And also than this one, because we were working with the high voltage with the transfer mode of spray. So this is the weld after I did it. As I said, this is not costing me anything because I'm working on simulation technology. And I can definitely continue practicing to make sure that I do it better. But what does better mean? Because at the end of the day, I'm still training, I'm still learning. I need to know what I need to do better, right? There you go. Now we're going to go to the analysis module. In this analysis module, you're going to see how I performed. And what you're going to see is actually something that you saw when I was welding through the e-learning platform. The e-learning platform is the one that the welding supervisor, the welding instructor is going to watch, is going to be able to watch when you are welding, right? That e-learning platform is going to show us real time everything that is going on in the weld. It's going to show you the parameters of your skills in real time. It's going to show you the score of your work angle, your travel angle, the CTWD, everything, okay? The speed, everything, the aim. You can see here I can analyze all of that data for every single pass that I have done, every single weldment, right? So if I stop here for a second in this pass, in this weldment, I can see that my settings were okay, so there is a check, and my scoring was 85. That 85 is coming as the average of the scoring of every single variable parameter here, work angle, travel angle, CTWD. You have it to the right, 87, 88, 93. The average of all that is my 85, which means that I did not pass. My skills technique on that particular weldment were not as good as needed, okay? I can also see that there are some defects. The system is telling me that as a consequence of my skills or my parameters, I had some skills, which in this case, as we can see, is related to spatter, okay? It's not much, it's not too much, but it's definitely important because finally, I will not be able to pass a bend test. You have the icon of the bend test. This is a simulation of what would happen with this particular weldment if you go through a bend test without doing the bend test. Imagine how powerful this is, right? We can replay the whole exercise. We can come here, navigate through the weld, there you go, zoom in, zoom out, there you go, and see also the chart real time. And I can do that in every single weldment. So if I go to the number A or to the number B, there you go. Having this information in the real workshop is impossible. You cannot watch what happened in the real workshop unless you record it. But you cannot see much at the end of the day because the quality of the helmet, the vision in the helmet, is not going to allow you to see much, even with the highest definition helmets and cameras in the market. But here we can have very objective feedback. We know, for instance, that in this weldment, I got the travel angle and the travel angle and the work angle. I failed. I need to improve that. But if I go to other weldments, there you go. Here you can see the different scores for every single weldment. Okay, I can see exactly what I need to improve in my next exercise, and then my next exercise, and then my next exercise without spending anything on consumables and materials. So this is definitely a very, very strong way to learn, to practice before I go to the real workshop. And look at this. As we said before, we can even look at the mechanical resistance, right? When I look at the cross-section analysis, what I'm doing now is realizing a cross-section analysis in every single millimeter of the welding bit. You can see that on the top left corner, and I can see the width, the throat, the weld size, and the mechanical resistance. Very, very interesting. Very, very powerful, okay? And all of that, I will be able to do here in the simulator anytime, because now I can stop, I can go back to this exercise anytime, I can repeat it, I can watch my results, or I can do it also in the e-learning platform. Let's have a look at this e-learning platform that I'm telling you about. So in the e-learning platform, what I'm going to have is, first of all, a number of courses, okay? Courses that can be fully customized for the welders, for the students, whatever you have, according to different processes, according to different types of training. You're going to have also a database of students, which is actually your welders, and they're going to be having a performance. That performance will depend on what you assign to them and what they are doing in the simulation space, right? For instance, myself, I am here, okay, Antonio Fernandez. I just started practicing, so I can see, first of all, my reports at a glance. So I can see as a welding instructor that Antonio this is how he compares to the rest of the group. So on travel speed, on travel angle, aim, work angle, all of that, okay, CDWD. And also how he has performed across the last 5 exercises, which can be more, by the way. This can be customized, this type of reports, okay? So I can get in a glance how this welder is performing through the training program and how me, as a welding instructor, can help him or her. Because remember, this is a human-centric technology. This does not replace real welding, neither the real welding instructor. We need to have, this is a tool for them to empower and to enhance the welding training. Here, I will be able to see also that Antonio has gone through different courses, see, the theory module, the evaluation module, and also this webinar course that I prepared for him. There you go. So I can see that he actually read the exercise, he actually did the evaluation, he passed the evaluation. I can actually get inside and see what he answered in case that there was any mistake. And I can see, very, very interesting, every single exercise that he has done in the simulator, right? So when I come here, I can open any, there you go, any exercise, okay? There you go, Maria, can you send it to me, please, to the screen? You have multiple screens, so it's opening in the other one. So I can see that I did one today, but I have done a few ones today, okay? 4 specifically at different times. One of them I passed, but the others I didn't, I failed, right? There you go. Thank you, Maria. So we can see here everything that I saw on the simulator. Now I can see on my computer, on my laptop, on my tablet, anytime, anyway, anywhere, okay? So I can get inside every single weldment, A, B, C, D, all of those that I did. I can see the technique, the defects, the event test, everything that we saw before, the WPS, all of that is accessible, right? So this becomes a very, very powerful tool. Even the videos, okay? Just like if I was in the welding simulator itself. There you go, allow me for a second. So I will be able to see all the details of the simulator, of the analysis model in this platform, anytime, anywhere. Not only the instructor, but also the welder. They will be able to watch the theory, the modules, the quizzes, what they have done, their reports, etc., even communicate to each other, right? So it becomes definitely a very complete way to train, a turnkey welding training solution, as we call it. And this is actually the way to train welders nowadays. The traditional welding training methodology is getting obsolete, it's too costly, it's too inefficient, too pollutant, and definitely not engaging the new generation. So we invite you to know more about this. We will be very happy to accompany you in this journey, and very, very much we thank you for your time today.